But then you see these bands of very distinct cloud cover. That is not rain, that is not snow. Believe it or not, military aircraft flying through the region is dropping chaff.
In the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
We shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
The Air Force has gotten great value out of HAARP in the past. We took over from the Navy and managed it and actually did a number of experiment campaigns up there and have finished our work that we're interested in doing up there. We've moving on to other ways of managing the ionosphere, which the HAARP was really designed to do, was to inject energy into the ionosphere to be able to actually control it.
Absolutely true that any version of this solar geoengineering will have unexpected side effects, I'm sure, problems, uncertainties. But of course, the state we're in has unexpected uncertainties.
Our world is changing. The mass extinction we feared has already begun, and we are the cause. We are the infection.
Tonight, dangerous flooding on the East Coast is affecting tens of millions.
Well, Hershey Park and Nobles are opening back up today after heavy rains and intense flooding forced the parks to shut down.
Yeah, but as those floodwaters recede, they're leaving behind a huge mess.
We're seeing flooded amusement parks, towns with water rushing through them, and torn up streets, to name a few. Mother Nature finally gave central Pennsylvania a break Thursday after 5 straight days of rainfall wreaked havoc on the region.
Now, Sweden has called for international help to fight more than 40 wildfires that have broken out across the country. Specialist planes and helicopters are trying to control the flames. Weeks of high temperatures and minimal rain have seen huge fires breaking out across the globe.
Hottest summer for 260 years has seen over 25,000 hectares worth of wildfires burn across the country. That's including in the normally mild Arctic Circle. Swedish authorities have called in help from across Europe, with Norway and Italy sending firefighting teams to tackle the blaze amid the longest drought in 74 years. Well, temperatures are reaching record highs across the planet, from Japan to Sweden, as we just told you, and the effects being felt in the form of wildfires, droughts and much more.
The record heat is causing blazes across some of the coldest countries on Earth. This a snapshot of Sweden on Wednesday, 44 separate fires. Norway, Finland and Russia are facing similar problems. Even the Arctic Circle ablaze in the summer heat. It's not just Sweden. The UK has spent weeks battling a grassland fire. In the US, they raged across California earlier this year and Los Angeles earlier this month. Australia, too, is seeing some of its worst fires in years. Norwegian helicopters, too, are flying repeat missions here, scooping buckets of water. One fire, 25 kilometres square, has caused the evacuation of 2 nearby towns. With weather warnings issued across almost the entire country, the wildfires are raging in the summer heat and thriving in a drought that shows no sign of ending.
Well, it's not just Europe that's in the grip of unusually high temperatures. Japan is experiencing a record-breaking heat wave.
For more than 2 weeks now, the sun has burned down on Japan from a cloudless sky with barely a waft of wind. Outside the Imperial Palace in Tokyo, the heat shimmer tells its own story. A little further north in the city of Kumagaya, it is considerably hotter. The thermometer here hit 41.1 degrees on Monday, the highest ever recorded anywhere in Japan.
In the UK, formerly green fields have turned to beige as there has been no rain in some places for 54 consecutive days. The country, internationally famed for its rainfall and inconsistent summers, heated up to 33 degrees this week, and temperatures are predicted to rise. Parts of the country have introduced a ban on hosepipe use amid Britain's longest heat wave in 42 years.
Rain caused landslides in Japan. The torrential downpours have forced more than 1.5 million people to be evacuated from their homes in western and central areas of the country.
It's been decades since the central and western areas of Japan have seen rainfall as intense as this. Vast areas in the main island of Honshu have been inundated with muddy water as rivers have burst their banks. Japan's infrastructure has also suffered as roads have crumbled and rail lines have been broken in half.
Heavy rain will continue in the area from western to eastern Japan, and it will be historic torrential rainfall, which could be the heaviest rain ever recorded.
More than 60 large uncontained fires burning right now. This image showing a massive tornado-like swirl of flames from that deadly car fire tearing through northern California. That fire alone has now scorched more than 100,000 acres.
This morning, the deadly car fire pushing west, forcing residents in neighboring counties to flee their homes.
I've never seen anything like this. It just went any direction it wanted to.
This, as we see new video from the worst of the firestorm. Massive vortexes looming over entire neighborhoods, while houses on the ground explode into fireballs.
50,000 feet high, towered over the San Jacinto Mountains, as the Cranston fire consumed thousands of acres, destroyed multiple homes, and forced more than 3,000 people to evacuate, all within a matter of hours. Emergency crews battled the fast-moving flames from the ground and the air.
Oh my God, that's getting really close to that house.
Since Sunday, heavy rains have lashed parts of the southwest, north and east of China.
The rain is really heavy. The water is knee-deep with a maximum depth of around 60 or 70 centimetres.
Rescue teams use sandbags to try and prevent homes from being flooded. Several motorists had to be rescued from raging waters as roads became impassable. In Zhejiang province, about 500 tourists had to be rescued after they were trapped at a scenic location after a flash flood. The rain has also damaged power lines, leaving some 40,000 homes without electricity.
Typhoon Ample has made landfall on the island of Chongming in eastern China's city of Shanghai. Forecasters expect it to move northwest and weaken gradually, bringing heavy rain to large parts of eastern and northern China. More than 190,000 people in Shanghai have been relocated. The National Meteorological Center has issued a yellow alert with warnings for severe flooding. It's also urging residents to stay indoors.
So everyone is talking about the weather these days, and it's another steamy day.
Meanwhile, the record heat wave here in South Korea has led to several electricity failures, and this is expected to continue throughout this week as a typhoon heading toward the country continues to weaken after bringing heavy rainfall to Japan. While the government says the electricity supply has now become stable, it'll face another peak during the second week of August.
The Weather Office added that the heat wave that has led to power failures will continue. The government says electricity supply has been stabilized as of last Friday. As this year's unexpected heat wave has put the nation's electricity supply on red alert, the government continues to come up with additional measures to tackle the problem. Typhoon Chongdari, which has brought heavy rain to Japan, continues to weaken as it heads towards South Korea's resort island of Jeju. The Korea Meteorological Administration says the typhoon had weakened to a tropical depression by Sunday afternoon, but warned that it will still bring strong winds to South Korea's east coast on Monday and the south coast on Tuesday.
The sky fills with sand, forming a gigantic cloud which blocks the sun. The city below is plunged into darkness. The temperature drops by 15 degrees. As winds reached 130 kilometers per hour, people dashed for cover as debris swept across streets and trees snapped. Such strong storms are unusual in Tehran, but the government's warned the bad weather may last until Wednesday.
9 earthquake has struck the western province of Kermanshah near the border with Iraq. It came just hours after 2 smaller quakes struck Hormozgan province in the south.
Fast and unforgiving. Flames devoured seaside resort towns along Greece's eastern coast. Tiny communities bustling with summer tourists became fully engulfed in a matter of minutes. Firefighters didn't stand a chance in stopping the damage. making rescue efforts all the more urgent. Hundreds of people survived by rushing into the sea and later were picked up by first responders in boats. It was one of very few escape options in the face of immediate danger. No one knows what started the fire, but the winds that fueled the flames have eased. Still, smoke is visible 40 kilometers away in the capital, casting an eerie shadow over the city's landmarks as the country pauses for 3 days of national mourning.
Extreme weather is having a real impact. And in Australia, a severe drought is continuing to devastate many areas, with rivers still running dry in the middle of winter. 2018 has brought some of the warmest and driest conditions for decades, and charities have had to send aid to help farmers and rural communities.
In good times, this farmland would be more green than orange. There'd be cows and sheep feeding on the grass. Now, it's hard to find any animals, however far you look.
In fact, all you see around here are bones.
They're calling it the Big Dry. Australia may be used to extreme heat and sun-baked soil, but the shortage of rain this year has made conditions unbearable.
These riverbeds should be the veins of the valley, but now, even in the middle of winter, they're stone dry. 99% of New South Wales is either in drought, drought onset, or on drought watch.
Yeah.